Hi guys, sorry for that. We've had some internet gremlins, so just give me a couple of seconds and I will get everyone back. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, and so is Islamophobia. Palestinians, Jews, and activists have lost work, been doxxed, verbally abused, sometimes attacked. So I don't know whether we're going to have any viewers or not. Yeah, we got a couple. Hi, Danny. I don't know what happened. I'm really sorry, guys. Something happened at my computer. It's my end. So anyway, we're back. We're back. So I'm just waiting for Big Vincenz to come on. But in the meantime, let me get things happening at this end. So as you all know, we are sponsored by the Sporting Globe at Northland. And we are also brought to you by Retired Working for You, which is my company. Guys, yeah, we're back. Really, really, really sorry. Something happened at my end with the computer. And for some reason, my computer ended the stream. And I don't know why. And I'm just waiting for the others to come back. So I guess what we'll do in the meantime, I'll just do a bit of prelim. So don't forget, you will find us on Facebook at Blue Sunday, and on YouTube you will find us at The Jumper Punch. Also, this is a meme that we are thinking of doing. I suppose every Carlton supporter is feeling like this. They want to put an axe through the window. Vince, we are back.
We're back, are we?
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone, for the technical issues that we've just had. Hopefully, you haven't deserted us.
No, Vince, did you send our link to our special guest?
I'm about to. Thank you.
Yeah. So there you go. So look, I'm really sorry. While we're here, Jude, actually, this is right. My computer is being coached by Michael Voss. Guys, I really don't know what happened. I had a duplication in the background, and then all of a sudden, my computer went off and on, and I thought I was still in the stream, but it must have ended. So I really now Vince is gone. Okay, so anyway, due to popular demand, we have Seba back. Help me out, Seba.
How are we? I think
we're being coached by the Carlton football. I think
you're getting done by the Carlton Mafia.
I think so. Actually. I think the Carlton thing. Vince, where did you go?
I think I'm being censored by the Carlton Football Club after being on 3AW on Friday afternoon.
Anyway, so look, as I said before, I'm really sorry what happened. I don't know. I had a phone call from the boss, Rocco, who's yelled at me, and I said to him, mate, I did not end the stream. So I had to create a new one. But anyway. Hey, Vince.
Welcome back, Seba.
Vince, how are you, mate?
Good to see you, mate.
I put this up to say that this is how most Carlton supporters are feeling. So, and I feel like doing that to computer after what it just did to me. But anyway.
I wouldn't mind betting that is actually what some people did do after Thursday night.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, guys, we're going to get on to the game. Now, we normally have David Rhys-Jones, who we all know is in Arizona. That's right.
His timing is impeccable to be away from Melbourne.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, isn't it? And then last week we had Peter Brown, who can't unfortunately join us this week. But Big Vincenz has gone above and beyond the call of duty, and I'd like to welcome Vin Catoggio. How are you, Vin?
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, good, Joe.
Vinny.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight, mate. Really appreciate you coming on at such short notice, because Brownie only let me know yesterday that he couldn't do it. So you've stepped up to the plate, mate. You're always reliable. Fantastic. One of our favourite sons, and really looking forward to your insights on what you think of how Carlton are going at the moment.
Thank you.
Hey, Vin, that picture's a very, very, very young Vincent Catoggio.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, that one.
How old were you there, mate?
24, I suppose.
Yeah,
long time ago. Yeah.
Anyway.
Nice.
Looking good.
Hey,
you're looking good, Vinny.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, we have a game to discuss. So, Vince, I want you to do your stuff, go through the scores and then some stats, and then we'll get Vinny to give us his insights into the Carlton Football Club.
Yes, indeed. And, of course, we see there Port Adelaide final score 16-14, 110 to Carlton, 8-12-60. And I must say, for the second week in a row, that margin in the end was flattering, just as the 11-point margin was flattering against North Melbourne last week. I thought this game felt like at least a 12-15 goal loss the way it was going. But as usual, the opposition puts the cue in the rack, and we get a few late goals to make it look half respectable. But, yeah. Anyway, quarter-by-quarter scores, I think it was pretty much over at quarter time. We could all see that when Port Adelaide put the pedal to the metal and the foot to the floor, that we had nothing to offer. 5-4-34 to 3 points at quarter time. Already 31 points the margin there. And then another 3-goal, 6 inaccurate kicking sort of half kept us from being totally smashed by half time. We scored our first goal with a couple of minutes to go in the second quarter. Only 1-6-12 at half time. Then they again outscored us in the third, 5 goals, 1 to 3 goals, 3. So the margin at three-quarter time was 56 points, and then we reduced that by a goal in the last quarter. We outscored them by 1 goal, 4 goals, 3 to 3 goals, 3. And in the end, it was a 50-point belting, and this game felt even worse than last week's game. So be interested to hear what Vinny thinks of the whole thing. Goal kickers for Carlton. The only multiple goal... Hang on, Joe, before we put the stats up and distract everyone. Goal kickers for Carlton was Fantasia with 2. Singles to Motlop, Cripps, Doherty, Hollands, Williams and Young. And the main goal scorers for Port Adelaide, Georgiadis, didn't he have a night out? 5 goals. Rioli kicked 3. Burne-Jones with 2. And Bergman with 2. And another 4 single goal kickers for them. Main possession winners for Carlton. Hey, Vinny. Is Vinny there?
Yeah.
Guess how many players for Carlton got 20 possessions or more?
About 3.
1.
1, okay.
George Hewitt, 21 possessions. And the rest of them, Doherty, 19, De Koning, 18, Haynes, 18, Hollands, 18, Williams, 18, and then it just sort of trails off after that. But, yeah, we just did not get much of the ball at all. So now we can have a look at some of the stats Joe's got up. You can see there we got pretty much smashed in most areas. 347 possessions to only 293. To get less than 300 possessions in a game is deplorable. And again, the disposal efficiency, we got beaten there again, 76% to them, 70 to us. The only area that we did beat them was in contested possession, but I reckon that last quarter might have got us over the line there, 117 to 106. Uncontested possession, they just played with us, really, 228 to 165. We had more turnovers than them, so that's actually not a good stat to have. Marks, they outmarked us. Look at that, 104 marks to 59, including 10 contested marks to 5, 94 uncontested marks to 54, and 16 inside 50 marks to 11. Hit-outs, they smashed us 45 to only 24 for De Koning on the night. Clangers 53 to 52 is pretty much even. Tackles, well, we tackled a lot more than them, but mainly because they had the ball so much. Well, it's not like we had a lot of tackles on the night. It was a lot of bruise-free football there. Even 58 tackles is not a great amount of tackles for a night. Scoring shots, again, 30 to 20 tells the story, and their accuracy was 53% to our 40. And really that told the story. So yet again, totally outplayed. And I think the stats show that too.
Okay, so once again, I must apologise for what happened. We had some power outage here, so I really do apologise. Vin, ex-footballer, ex-Carlton, what are your thoughts?
On what part of the game?
Well, the game, the club, where we're in.
Just summarise the game. Summarise the game first for us, Vinny. I mean, what did you see of the game, and what did you think? Where did we lose it?
Yeah, look, I think once we started bad, because we normally start fairly well, and you're in the game for a portion of the game, but we just started so badly. So we were trying to play catch-up football. So we're under pressure. By quarter time, you're already under pressure. So you're doing things that you normally wouldn't do. But in that sort of circumstance, if you're behind by 5 goals, that's when you should be maybe taking the game on, changing things, because you're already 5 goals down. So why keep going the same way where you got to that position? So you might as well change your game. We've got no game breakers. We've got no one that can get the ball and break a line to then offset a handball, over the top. We've got no one to take that's daring enough to try that. So we have the same players making the same mistakes week in, week out. We fumble a lot in our back line and they get easy goals out of that. And when we're going forward, you'd hate to be a forward because the ball's either, getting kicked up high or it's getting kicked indirect to your opponent. So our ball use is poor. So, look, I mean, I'm not as critical as most people because having played, it's different out there. There's a different pressure out there. Because when you're watching a game, you elevated the TV or you're at the ground. But when you're out there, it's a lot harder to negotiate your way around because you've got to kick the ball over players' heads to certain positions. And sometimes you only got a second by the time you've grabbed the ball to make a decision. It's a lot easier watching on TV. So, I don't get too hard on the players, but when it comes to, say, goal kicking, I mean, that's where it annoys you when you've got opportunities to kick goals that should be kicked, and they can hurt you because it goes through the team. Once you miss a goal, they can just start happening all over the place. So, I don't want to be too critical about it, but the only problem I'm worried about is we keep making the same mistakes. So if you don't learn by them, well, where are we going to go?
Michael Voss alluded to the effort in his press conference after the game, Benny. He's the first time, I reckon, this year that he's questioned the effort of the team. And for the first time, he's made mention of that. What did you think of the overall endeavour and effort of the team, especially after the leaders came out during the week? Patrick Cripps, Jacob Wiedering all came out and vouched that, they're right behind Vossi and they're playing for Vossi and, we've got to come out this week and show a response and all that. I mean, what's the point in coming out and saying all of that and then putting up a performance like that? I mean, what did you make of the effort on Thursday night?
Yeah, it was pretty unwatchable, really. But it was hard on Patrick Cripps. He was the front man last week. And he probably shouldn't have played. He had a really bad cold. And I reckon he's only played
the flu.
Yeah, so he was really struggling. So he's not normally like that. He gives his all, but it's like if you guys had a flu, it's hard to get out of your own house rather than other than go and play football. So,
but what about the rest of the team? Surely they would have given that message to the rest of the players. We've disappointed our fans against North Melbourne. We've got to come out and show a response. It's not just Patrick Cripps.
Yeah, I look. All I can say is that there was no connect there at all the other night. There was no sort of like after you've got beaten by North Melbourne, you would have thought you rallied during the week and then come back and give it all. And maybe your first quarter should have been your best. But to go out and get rolled like that in the first quarter after a bad week, that was saying that the players, weren't connected.
Yeah. Seba, did you want to ask me anything?
I mean, look, I know that you're obviously an ex-player. You know what it's like to be out there on the field. But as an ex-player, if you have, and I'm talking more about your star footballers, if you have star footballers going out there, and I'll give a prime example, it just shows that he does not care. Like Charlie Curnow with squirting the water on him, and then they're all punching on when you're getting pumped by 40 points, and they're trying to show a bit of this, a bit of that. But if that was to happen back in your day, them showing like them just not caring, what would happen? That's what I want to know, because clearly them showing it now and doing all these childish things, nothing's happening to them. It's not no one's going up to them and saying, I'll pull your head in line and stuff like that. I just think that's the most frustrating thing for me too, is watching the players. You can visibly see they don't give a shit.
Yeah. I reckon back in our day that wouldn't happen, and if it did happen, you'd have your senior players, down on top of you and really giving you a spray. Yeah. That doesn't happen today. It's it's all cotton wool stuff. You know what I mean? No one wants to be yelled at.
They'll need to go into their safe spaces and go and cry in the corner.
You know what I mean? And they smile all game basically. I don't know, this having fun thing. Okay, you can have a bit of fun, but be serious about it. You know what I mean?
Do you think that they should be? I mean, the coaches and stuff are going out there and hitting them and stuff. Do you think that we should see more of the players copying it, like how it would have been back in your day? Do you think there should be more of that?
Oh, look, there's not many coaches these days that really give a player a spray.
Yeah.
Maybe in the background, but not on sort of like on TV or anything.
Yeah.
But I think they get away with a lot more. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, the perfect example is when a player makes a bad mistake, they have 5-6 players go around them and give them high fives. Like back in our day, they would have been saying, "What are you fucking doing?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Or, you get a spray from one of the senior players. That'd make you feel bad and make him want to play better. But these guys are getting high fives. What, you've done something wrong. You've given Alf a bad pass and you're getting a high five from 5 people. What's that saying? We don't really care. Oh, you've tried or something. There's no responsibility there.
And what do you make of the celebrating after goals, after you're down a considerable amount in the game? What do you make of that?
That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They're no pressure goals because by that stage, Port Adelaide have put the cue in the rack. They're kicking a few goals and players are coming up and high five, and that's all. I don't know. Anyway, it's hard. It's hard for me to understand to be in that position there because we played in a different era. You know what I mean? That wasn't acceptable. I don't even think back in our day we sort of celebrated too much. You know what I mean? Might have been just a pat here or there or just a well done, but none of this running around stuff, Yeah.
Yeah. Makes you wonder.
Agree with you.
What about Joe? You've got your music, Joe?
No. Oh. I just had to do something. So, I'm at my wit's end with that team. I mean, I'm sick of. Someone mentioned it earlier. I'm sick of all this bullshit about stick fat with us. The players are behind it and all this sort of shit. I mean, you can obviously tell that some of them are clearly not interested or waiting for someone else. I mean, that's another thing I noticed. If our key player like Cripps doesn't play well, or a Charlie or a Wiedering, we just fall apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, the thing back, I can only go back to my day. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
So, okay. We didn't have to rely on the best players playing well because everyone else took up the slack. So if Jesselenko, Dool, or Southby or McClure never played well, we had a heap of other guys would take their turn. But with Carlton, because we drop away after probably 6 or 7 guys, our bottom 6 players are probably in the worst 3 sides of the competition.
Yeah.
So would our bottom 6 players get a game for anybody else?
No.
I don't think our middle 6 would either.
And
I don't even think top players would.
But when I say that, I get back to we haven't. Who was the last player that Carlton has developed? Like we've picked up number 1s, 2s, and 3 picks, and they're all gettable by anybody else that finish up wherever they finish. Okay, but when was the last time we picked a guy out that was picked up 35, 40 in the draft, and we turned him into a good player? We don't develop any players.
I'll tell you the last player that I reckon we picked up at number 45, who turned out to be a top player, played over 300 games, is Cade Simpson in 2002.
Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, that's the one.
And that's after we lost all of our first-round draft picks because of the salary cap breaches. So he ended up being the first player that we drafted in 2002 at pick 45. And since him, I don't know, can't name any others.
We've had a lot of number 1s and 2s, so you can't like Murphy, Cruz, or all those sort of blokes.
Yeah,
you can't count those. You can't count them because they've already got the natural talent.
That's right. Yeah, anyone would have picked them up. But
exactly.
to go into the draft and look at players, in the numbers of 30s and 40s, and try and develop them, we've done none of that. And we keep playing the same blokes that don't deserve a game week after week. And one of the problems that I find is that what's annoying, if you keep making the same mistakes every week, it happens every week. And they say we're gonna get on top of this week. We're gonna review this. And then they come out and they do exactly the same thing the following week. So either the message is not getting through or the players can't do the act.
Why do you think Michael Voss is persisting with them, though? Like, why keep persisting with the same players week in, week out, and not trying some of the younger ones that are knocking on the door in the VFL? I mean, I'd be very interested to see this week against Collingwood whether we blood some young guys who have been knocking on the door. They won the VFL game last night against Port Melbourne. There's a number of them there that had very good games, and I reckon, throw caution to the wind. I mean, the season's gone. Why don't we see who can and can't play that we haven't even tried yet, and make some of these so-called senior players accountable once and for all for their poor performances?
Yeah, I mean, if I was coaching, I'm not smart enough to be coaching, but when you're getting beaten, say at half time against Port Adelaide, you're down 10 goals, okay? Why wouldn't you throw Sard on the ball, okay, to generate some pace through the middle, okay? Why wouldn't you put Curnow to a wing or to centre half back? So
centre half back would be perfect, I reckon, for him.
Yeah, so the ball's coming at him, or he could read the ball and then make some changes like that.
And make him accountable for another player too.
But they rarely make a change. They keep the same players in relatively the same positions, and the same thing happens quarter after quarter. And then when the side gets tired, the opposition gets tired in the last quarter, all of a sudden you see a few of the guys start getting a kick.
So Vin,
yeah.
You take over as the CEO of the Carlton Football Club this week. Just hypothetical. What are you doing? Are you sacking the coach? Are you what are you doing?
Oh no, I wouldn't sack the coach this week. I'd say that the performances over the next 8 weeks are going to determine where he sits. I mean, if they lose 6 of the next 8 games, well, how can you
especially by hitting margins?
Yeah, how can you go into pre-season and say, well, we've got a coach there that's going to take us. I mean, there's going to be questions asked, But if they come out in the next 8 weeks and they're very competitive, and they only maybe lose 4 of those games, well, you might be able to salvage something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think so the next 8 weeks is going to be really important for the club.
I do have a for me, if I was in the position of the CEO.
Yeah, yes. I've just made you CEO. All right. What are you doing?
Where do you start?
It's exactly right. Where do you start? I mean, I think I'd be looking. The season's done. I mean, the season's. Let's be real here. We've all known the season was done after round 1. The season was done after round 1. For me, it was, and it was there's no salvaging it. But I think I'd just look at blooding the kids. I mean, the Campo twins. Where are they? We've got Blake Acres, who's been. Let's be real here. He's been poor for over a year and a half now, and he's still getting a game.
He's falling off the edge of a cliff.
He's still getting a game. Chuck him one of the Campo kids. Like, was it Lucas?
Lucas started the first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
two games.
And then and I'm sorry to say, and it's what pisses me the most off about our supporter base. It's Ollie Hollands. Since day dot he's got to the club, he has been the whipping boy, right? He has been the whipping boy. It's always Hollands is shit, Hollands is this, Hollands is that. But you know what? There's one thing that you can't take away from the kid. He shows intent. He gives a fuck.
Yes.
He cares about the jumper. You can see the way he plays. He's always eyes are darting. He's looking for his teammates. And no other players and he was probably the only one I can say on the week on Thursday who actually showed some form of a cool head. Yes, he can turn it over. Yeah, I understand that. But having him play off the half back, what are we doing? We've drafted him as a winger. Play him in his spot. Him in his spot, because you've got people like Blake Acres taking up a position that he's been deplorable. He's been deplorable. I'd keep Billy Wilson in. I don't care that he had 8 touches and didn't look that. Keep him in. Bring in a Camporeale.
Unfortunately, he injured himself, so he's probably unlikely to play. Yeah,
that's how much notice I was taking.
I think both him and Sard. I think Sard's got concussion, so he's going to have to be out for at least a week. So Billy Wilson injured his hamstring, I think.
I'd put in 2. Lemmy. Everyone says, "Oh, he's not good enough." People say, "Oh, he's not good enough."
Know?
Put him in. Put him in.
Kicked 3 goals yesterday. He kicked 3 goals yesterday, so why not?
It's what it is. It's actually now, because this is the problem with our fan base. A lot of them are put the kids in. But then they're like, "Oh, no, Lemmy, he's not good enough. He's not." How do you know? Just put him in. Give him the chance. You know what? He may just surprise you. He may go in there and kill it for the rest of the season. And then you know what I mean? But yeah, there's so much wrong with the list and the club that I think it's more than just this off season. I think we're going to be sitting around and waiting for another couple of years. Personally,
Well, the thing is that I think at the start of the year, most people thought we'd probably make top 4, top 8.
Yeah.
But, we're at the stage now that probably 5 sides have come from underneath us and potentially dropped us back 5 spots. So if we were in the window, that window's shut for a little while. You know what I mean? And other sides like the Bulldogs, and the sides like the Bulldogs, they've just like overleaped us.
Fremantle.
Yeah, there's a lot of sides there that have just taken over. Like if I would have said to you 3 years ago, who's going to win a flag, Carlton or Hawthorn, everyone would have said Carlton. Not one person would have said Hawthorn 3 years ago.
No,
not anymore.
You know, so that's how we've dropped off the radar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've gone from being, potential, top 2 side and playing in the grand final to now, struggling to keep up with them.
It was only 12 months ago.
That's the reality. That's the reality. That's if,
It was only 12 months ago, Vinny, we were second on the ladder and one of the Premiership favourites last year.
Yeah.
Since then, I think we've lost something like 16 out of our last 24 games.
Yeah.
It's a real big fall from grace. What I was going to mention too before about the selection integrity issue, I'm hearing rumours, and even Jordan Lewis came out in the media, and I doubt that he would have said this unless he had some pretty good sources, to say that there's now some splinter groups happening within the playing group, and that the so-called top players are sort of one group that only really associate with each other, and then there's the young players down the bottom, and then there's the ones in the middle, and there seems to be a few little sort of cliques that are happening and splintering within the playing group, and that there's a bit of discontent about some players that are constantly getting a game despite how badly they might be playing, and others that are getting a bit upset that they're not getting an opportunity.
But Vince, if you're not oblivious to it, you can see that on the field.
There's not much togetherness out there.
You can see that on the field. You can see it. They
don't stand up for each other when the opposition get in your face or anything.
Was it this week or last week? I think it was this week. Charlie Curnow running into goal, burnt everyone in the middle. He was running in on the pocket, burnt it. You can see it. They don't look for certain players. Don't look for each other. No one. They don't work for each other.
You went for glory and missed the whole lot.
100%. This is what I'm saying. If you're not oblivious to it, you can see it on the field, and it just comes down. They don't care enough about each other, nor do they care enough about the emblem on the front of their jumper.
No.
You know what I mean? But it's where we're at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I feel for the passionate supporter. Don't worry about that. I mean, my whole family's Carlton, so they're all passionate, and we're as disappointed as everybody else. Just more the commitment, as you say. If someone goes down or gets hit, there's no sort of flying the flag. Like, I mean, I don't mean to be. I don't want to. I can't talk. I don't know a lot of the players at all, but who's our toughest player that will go in and throw their weight around? I don't know. It doesn't happen too often.
I think
Pitnet has been one.
There's one player that does have that little bit of see next Tuesday in him, and it's what's his name, Lockie Cowan. I've seen it a fair few times from him, but other than that, I guess you're right. There is none. They don't have that. It's just a lack of they care about each other.
As Rhys would say, a bit of SHIT in them. So you're right. There seems to be a lack of team spirit, a lack of cohesion, togetherness, really looking out for your mates out there. And when that starts to happen, surely there needs to be, that issue needs to be addressed by the coach. And that's one thing Jordan Lewis said, that if this is going on, Michael Voss needs to get all these players together and bring it all back. Otherwise, if it's allowed to fester, it'll just keep destroying the team from within like cancer.
Well, you know what's destroying? I mean, look, it's been well documented over the years, the problems we've had. But I guess a question to maybe Vinny. Like all the past players and coaches and all these other players coming out in the media now, because now it's heap on time. That's what it is now. Now everyone's it's a cool thing to talk about in town. With all these players and past coaches coming out and giving their input on it and stuff like that, do you think that it should be taken on as consideration, or as a board just to let them say whatever and not take any of that and just deal with it internally? What are your thoughts?
Look, it's always good to listen to outside stuff, especially guys like Pagan, Malthouse. I mean, you've got to listen to those blokes when they talk because, yeah, they've got the record on the board, haven't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what I think what annoys me is that, you know, the coaches don't want to be told from outside people that what's going wrong because it's going to make them look silly because they can't work it out themselves. But if you listen to some of the smart commentators out there, you know, Nathan Buckley and Jimmy Bartell, they're very, very smart people. And they put up the same, you know, statistics and arguments each week. And you think, well, they're right. What they're saying is what's going on. Why can't the coaching group see the same thing? So I don't understand that. Like, I mean, we go backwards, deep backwards when we come forward. So that's allowing 3 players to go up the field and to flood the other lines. So by the time we start to come forward, three more of their players are back there on our half forward line. People can't move around. Rather than go back, our players should be coming to the side or going forward, not chipping the ball 30 metres back. Because the other sides are not wanting to come and press you, they'll just keep away from you.
Yeah. Well, to validate that point,
we should be attacking from the half back line, not full back line. We should be attacking from the half back line. Start working from there.
Yeah.
You know,
Vinny,
we're not giving our forwards any chance by bringing the ball back.
Yeah.
Vin, can I ask you something? So in today's paper, Wayne Johnson was interviewed and he's given all these views about things. So as a young Vin Cotoggio sitting in the change rooms and, I don't know, someone like a John Nichols or, you know, guys who played earlier come and have a word. Do you think they listen? Like, did you listen or did you think, what's this old bloke? No, it's a different game now.
Oh, no, I listened to him. Yeah, you had to listen to him. Otherwise, you know, you wouldn't get a game. If you were told to do something and you didn't do it, well, you just wouldn't get a game.
So do you think any of the players read Wayne Johnson's article? Half of them probably don't even know who he is.
Well, that's pretty true. I mean, they probably know Wayne Johnson because he's probably been around a bit, but I know for a fact that some of the players wouldn't know some of the other players, you know. But saying that, you know, I remember you get
that's a disgrace in itself.
Well, especially I suppose players that are of Wayne Johnson's note. You know, I mean, he's been a legend of the club. So and he can talk because he's got the record, the runs on the board.
My word.
Yeah, and he was right. He was saying that, you know, one of the things we were always taught, even if you're out of the game, say you're not playing well, you can still contribute by chasing, tackling, putting pressure on, you know, or keeping your man out of running your man to the boundary and opening up the game. So even though you're not playing well, you can still help the side. But I think some of these guys that are playing at the moment, they're playing for themselves because they give the handball off when they're under pressure and to players that are under pressure. So it makes them look bad as well. Yeah. So rather than, you know, scoping the field, like if you look at Butters that plays for Port Adelaide, he'll get the ball and he'll scope and have a look where to go. Well, we've got a lot of guys that put their head down and kick the ball up in the air.
And there's a lot of hero ball going on too at the moment. A lot of hero ball, like Cripps. He's reverted back to that hero ball where I got to do everything. You know what I mean? And it's not only hindering the team's game, but it's hindering his game now because we're seeing a significant drop off in form from last year. You know what I mean? He just doesn't. I just don't think he has that in him anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in that 2023 season, I think we all saw it. He was able to relinquish all that responsibility because it looked like from the outside he trusted everyone. And now what it looks like to me, I don't know about you guys or the chat, it looks like he doesn't trust everyone. He doesn't trust anyone
No,
anymore.
he doesn't.
You know what I mean? And you look at him in the post-match press conference, the bloke's almost in tears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can clearly see the guy gives a fuck about the club. You know,
Yeah.
this is, and it comes back. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel a bit for him too, because he's not the one out there kicking the ball. He's not the bloke that's making mistakes out there. He's he's instructing them so that they either can't carry out those instructions.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it, because you can't be blaming him on everything. You know what I mean? Because if I said to you, okay, you get rid of him, you think the thing's going to change? You're still going to have the same players.
No, yeah,
so
exactly
you're going to have the same players. So it's not just one person.
Yeah.
So So I don't think I'd be getting rid of him, but I'd say the last 8 weeks are going to determine what happens.
Yeah, exactly right. And I guess another thing I want to bring up, I mean, obviously, we all saw the graffiti and stuff on it, and the TDK part is the more intriguing thing to me. And I've been saying it for a while now. It's and again, it's going to come back to Cripps. When Cripps had that contract situation a couple of years ago, and everyone, me included, we all got on his back to sign the contract, right? Now, why aren't we holding TDK to the same level we held Cripps as in getting on his back? You know what I mean? I think that he's escaping a bit of that at the moment, and it's sort of sad to see. I think if he really gave a shit, he should have signed already, and it's hindering the team as well.
But Seba, that comes back to he's just thinking about himself, and you know, not to a point.
I do understand that. But I do understand that. But if you're in and you're out, give us a proper, definitive answer. And if you're out, we should have the right all to know.
Like they did to Lockie Henderson, they dropped him when he said, "I'm going to Geelong," and they put him in the reserves for the last 2 weeks. Maybe that's what he's scared of. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Like you said before the show, Seba, we were talking before the show. You don't think we need a star ruckman to win a premiership?
No, I don't think you do. I mean, history shows you don't really.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You're right. What you said before, Seba, is that Brisbane last year won a flag without their ruckman.
Yeah. But it is what it is. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, Darcy Fort came in because Oscar McInerney did his shoulder in the prelim final. So, they did it with a makeshift, secondary ruckman.
Well, if you got someone that competes really well, that's all you really need. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
For God's sake, why do they keep putting Patrick Cripps in the ruck? You got Lewis Young in there. He's another useless bloody player. Some of those guys, I really don't. We bring back Lewis Young. Is he going to be in our next premiership team? I don't even think he'll be there next year, let alone the next premiership.
I think he got a 2-year contract we gave him. I think it was last year.
He should go and buy a Tats Lotto ticket.
You know what the funny thing is, Joe? He's probably got genuinely one of the better set shots in our team, and I'm not even joking.
Yeah, yes.
I'm not even joking when I say that.
He was the one that kicked our first goal just before half time.
we were all at Sporting Globe. We were losing it. Me and Mars, we were losing it. I mean, look, he's a bit one of those novelty players, but I don't hate him. I mean, how can
he has a crack.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
He's an honest player.
He's limited. We all know he's a limited player. Yeah. We all know he's limited.
Yeah, but he gives his best,
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, for sure.
Vince, everyone's waiting for the
Vinny, have you ever seen a team? Yeah, I know. I'm holding back tonight a little bit, and my verdict segment will come up later on, so don't tune out yet, guys. But Vinny, I was just going to ask you. Surely, it must make you shake your head at the disposal efficiency. The kicking obviously kicking and hand passing efficiency. We just don't hit targets very well or very often. and often hand pass into trouble. Have you ever seen a team with such poor skills and they don't seem to do anything about it week after week? You reckon you'd be getting these boys to have skill sessions if they're playing with such poor disposal efficiency, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I know where you're coming from there. Yeah. Look, I think we were pretty spoilt back in my time because everyone in our side had skills, to kick the ball
I know.
to the right position. So we trained at it. We trained a lot on our skills. So I don't know how much time they spend, training on hitting targets. You know what I mean? So I don't watch them train, so I can't really comment too much on that. But talking with I'm good mates with Wayne Harms, and
yes,
Harms just said to me, maybe a couple of weeks ago, mate, if we could just take them for training for a week, I reckon we'd improve their skills. But that'd be a bit embarrassing, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't think the specialist coaches or development coaches would like, the past players taking them to do a few drills.
Well, they should.
And
but what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing during the week? I mean, what's training made up of these days?
No, but they were really, really intensified skill sets that we had because we trained on them. And we weren't allowed to make mistakes at training. We weren't allowed to double take the ball. A player leading for the ball had to be forward of the ball. We couldn't kick, like if he had to wait for a pass, it was a mistake, So we worked on that all the time. We did it week after week. And then when you come into a game, it's second nature. You see a player lead, they know where you're going to kick it and you know where they're going to go. And we used to do that all the time. Any player that led, you knew his speeds as well. If he was a slower player, you wouldn't have it out in front too far. But if he was a quick player, you'd put it out another 10 metres so he could run into it. I don't know. I don't know what they do, but, that's what we used to do. So maybe times have changed where I don't know. I just don't know what they do. Because as I said, I haven't been watching.
They play bloody video games.
Vin, from you, what I'd like to know is when you were playing, did you love it? Did you enjoy heading in to train, and did you love doing what you did, playing football at the highest level?
Loved it.
Every minute of it.
Every single minute. I couldn't wait to get the training, just to try and improve and, match days. I remember getting to the games and getting changed and look around the room, and I couldn't believe I was actually playing with all those great players.
Yeah.
And I used to think to myself, well, I've got to play well to keep my spot,
Yeah. Yeah.
So make you perform.
Because what I'm getting at from that is I don't think a lot of the players love what they do. I don't think they love it.
Yeah. Maybe they keep talking about it's a job, which it is.
Yeah.
But I tell you something, if you and I were working at a company and we weren't performing, I think we'd get the arse pretty quick.
Correct. 100%. 100%.
So when you've got a security blanket, I was just going to say, when you've got a security blanket of, say, a contract for 3 or 4 years, it doesn't matter if you play well or not, because you're still going to get paid.
Correct.
Hey, Vinny, back in your day, I reckon I could count on one hand how many games you would have had less than, say, 15 goals in a game. These days, Carlton's lucky to kick 10 goals. We kicked 8 on the weekend. We kicked 10 last week against North Melbourne. Even against the bottom side on the ladder against West Coast, we only kicked 12. I think we kicked 11 against Essendon the week past. You'd have to ask, are these players actually getting any enjoyment out of playing the game? Because every goal we kick feels like really hard work. And our game style, whatever it is that Michael Voss has got them playing, which I can't identify with, seems to be very labour intensive, very laborious, and I just don't reckon they're getting any enjoyment out of playing. And that's what I reckon is part of the reason why they've really dropped off in intensity and what Michael Voss called effort on the weekend.
Yeah. Well, you don't get any enjoyment out of playing when you're losing at all.
Of course.
It's
but how many games would you have played where you only kicked 8 goals, 10 goals for the game? You guys used to kick 15, 18, 20 goals quite regularly for the whole game.
Yeah, I suppose that they didn't have all this zoning stuff. I to this day, this is one of the things I just can't understand. Like the other night against Port Adelaide, when we were 6-7 goals down, I don't know when is their coach going to come out one night and just go man on man and forget the zone?
Never.
Yeah.
Because you're then responsible for one player. They zone and they give players 15, 20 metres. And if you're a good pass in that 20 metres, you just can't stop them. But if you're on them shoulder to shoulder, well, that's not going to happen. I mean, I don't know. Someday someone's going to say, "Hey, man, everyone man up," and there'll be no space anywhere, and then you've just got to rely on ability.
You know who a coach is does that, Vinny? A coach that does that, and he actually did it tonight. What's his name? Ross Lyon. He does that. He does that a lot. He does that a lot of the time. Plays that man-on-man footy. And look, it almost worked for him. I mean, they didn't win, but you know what I mean? It does work.
Yeah, for sure. There's too many. There's zone. There's too many holes.
Because you look at us, we've only kicked over 100 points twice this year against the two shittest teams in the comp.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's right what you're saying, Saber.
Well, what else? I think what else can we say? I mean, it's a abysmal effort from everyone. But what I'm surprised is that no one from the board or the CEO have come out and said anything. I don't know what they can say, but at least Voss.
By the way, why don't we?
I wonder if he's got the support of the board.
I don't know.
The full support of the board.
Yeah.
That's a death knell, isn't it?
No, believe me, no coach wants the president to come out and say that he's got the full support of the board. Trust me.
Yeah. But I'll tell you something. I mean, when it gets to this stage, there's always going to be, whispers, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are going to be, there's going to be even blokes on the board talking to their best mate and saying, this might happen, this might happen. Yeah, you're going to hear all that sort of stuff. But I think it'll come to a head at the end of the year, depending on how we go. So, this next 8 weeks is one of the most important periods of our club, because it's either going to mean we're going to lose another coach and start again, or something will happen with Wright coming in to stabilise the place, So that's the way I see it.
Vin, someone's been hassling me. He says he's asked 3 times. I haven't asked you. Do you still see Brad Nimmo?
No, I don't actually. We used to work together for 6-7 years. No, but I don't know.
Okay.
You mean Brad Nimmo, the former Coburg fullback?
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Yeah, good
player. Great player, Brad Nimmo. Really, really good player.
Yeah, we could do with him at Carlton now.
Vin, you didn't punt with him, did you? Did you punt with him? Did you
punt? No, I didn't punt with him.
Is he a terrible punter, or are you the terrible punter?
Me.
Anyway, so I don't know what.
Hey, Vinny, can I just ask another question, Joe?
Yeah.
Can I just ask Vinny one more question before we might go on to votes and what have you?
Go for it.
Charlie Curnow. Now, the last 2 weeks, he hasn't kicked any goals. He's been a bit of a sook, selfish at times, not prepared to run and chase, not prepared to tackle. What would you do with him if anything, would you just leave him in the side this week against Collingwood? Or would you make a statement if you're Michael Voss and say nobody is going to hijack this team and nobody is too important that they can't be dropped? You're off to the VFL.
No.
What would you do?
I'd play him. I'd definitely play him, but I'd play him probably in another position. So I'd either play him along either in the middle on the wing or centre half back.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I'd play him in a different position.
Or on the wing or something like that.
Yeah, give him a new spark somewhere else. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, maybe I don't know if Mackay's available, but you'd probably bring him back. He's out, is he?
Yeah.
Okay,
like
you play McGovern up centre half forward or full forward, young, and I'd put I'd put Curnow maybe even like a Kudafides role, put him let him go wherever he wants to go. Starting
on the wing,
middle,
just roam around.
Start him in the middle, and then just let him float and read the game. He might end up being another Kuda. We don't know that because he's never been tried anywhere else. This is the time for you to say, "Hey, let's try things."
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that because Brownie suggested to us last week, and he, even when we had him on a couple of years ago, he was always suggesting change things up. Try players in different positions. If you're getting beaten like we were against Port Adelaide, swing the magnets around and just try and generate some sort of spark from somewhere. I mean, Kevin Sheedy, David Parkin, these coaches used to do that all the time.
Yeah, like Boyd, is it Boyd that plays on the half back line?
Yeah.
He'd be the guy that I would put forward as a crummer because he's aggressive. He goes at the board hard. He's a good reader of the game. He's a guy that may generate 2 or 3 goals for you. We've got guys up there that are not producing week after week. He's a guy that you might pluck out of nowhere to become a very, very good forward. Someone that can kick goals for us because we haven't got those guys that can read the ball to kick goals. We get 1 or 2 out of one of them every couple of weeks, but no one's there that's dangerous. No one looks dangerous. I reckon when the opposition line up and say, well, these players. They don't look at any players and say, well, he's going to be the dangerous player in our forward line, the little blokes, you know what I mean? Because they're all basically about the same. We haven't got a kicker that's explosive. When he goes near the ball, something is going to happen, So maybe we try other players in other positions and see how they go.
And maybe try some young ones too.
Yeah, you've got nothing to lose. Because if you've got...
by the way, Ashton Moy.
Well,
sorry, Ben, go on.
No, try those players. You've got to, but you've got to give.
I was just going to say, Ashton Moyer kicked 4 goals in the VFL. I mean, he's probably one that you could consider bringing in for next week. He's got a bit of spark about him. Harry Lemmy, as I said, kicked 7 goals a few weeks ago in the reserves. Kicked 3 on yesterday. Give him a go.
He has had a pretty big month too recently. So I think
Ben Camporeale's been playing well.
Yeah. Well, if they're going to get rid of players at the end of the year, 3 or 4 or 5 players that are playing seniors now, they should be starting to sort of
weed out the others.
Yeah, and giving other guys a game. And if at the end of the year they want to give them a farewell game, well, you give them a farewell game. But if they're not going to be there next year, and they know, the selectors and whoever know that, well, they're wasting their time with them. You'd be saying, well, these guys are not going to be here next year, so why keep playing them? You might as well try some new players because you'll never know until you play those players. You might get a gem from somewhere.
Exactly.
You're not.
By the way, one more, Vinny. Sam Doherty. What would you do with him between now and the rest of the season? Between now and the end of the season, would you play him in the senior team in the last 8 weeks, or would you say, no, you're not part of the future? We're going to play some young players instead and just get him to almost play a player-coacher, like a captain-coach type role in the VFL? And would you give him another contract for next year or not? Because apparently he has said he would like to continue next year. What would your position be on Sam Doherty?
I think at the moment he's a little bit fumbly in the back line, so I would play him up forward, like a small forward type thing, and see if he can generate some goals. That might change for him. Look, I don't know about him playing next year. It's not up to me anyway. I mean, the thing is...
I'm asking you if it was up to you. You're the list manager. He turns 32 in October. Yeah. Would you give him another contract for next year, or would you say, Sam, why don't you resign with dignity now and we'll give you a farewell game at the end of the season?
Yeah, I suppose what I'd probably do is just wait till the end of the year and still let him train, even though he hasn't got a contract, and see who you pick up from other clubs, and then make a decision. You might need him or not, rather than be too hasty about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'd still play him between. So you'd still play him between now and round 24.
Over the next couple of weeks, yes. Yeah, but I'd change him to a half forward flank or to a forward pocket.
That's interesting.
Because I think he'd be more beneficial there. Because I think he's been a bit, I suppose a little bit fumbly, and when they become fumbly like that, they could score heavily on you.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get some final thoughts, Vince. Seba, anything else you want to bring up?
Other
than your lunch?
I think that's about it. There's not much more you can really say about him, to be honest. So, yeah, I think I'm happy to leave it there for that one.
Vince? Big
I think we're pretty much covered. I'd like to ask you a question, Joe.
Go for it.
What changes would you make to that side for this coming week against Collingwood? Now, you already know that Sard can't play because he's got concussion and he's out for the concussion protocols and whatever. And you know that Billy Wilson's done some sort of injury that's forced him to be unavailable as well. So assuming that they're the only two that are injured from last week's team, and I reckon, by the way, Wiedering looked very proper to me.
Oh, yeah. Didn't he?
And Cripps obviously wasn't too well. Hopefully he's better this week. But assuming that Cripps and Wiedering are right to go, what other changes? Who would you bring in for those two for starters, Sard and Wilson? And what other changes would you make in terms of players that you're going to drop and other players that you're going to bring in their place?
Okay, so I'm probably not the right person to ask because I live here in Bangkok and I don't get to see the VFL.
Oh, come on.
Well, I don't. I agree with Vinny. I would move Doherty because he fumbles, and every time he fumbles in the back line, turns it over, we get a goal kicked against us, right?
He's never really played in the forward line, though, and in all of his games, I don't think he's ever really played forward, has he?
We'll put him on the wing, right?
Maybe the wing.
He's not quick enough. He's just not quick enough
to he's not quick enough to play in defence either. So
then you know what? Then he's not good enough. Unfortunately, I don't think he should be in the team.
I don't either, to be honest.
Yeah, as much as we love him.
That's exactly right. It's not me being an asshole. Like, thank you, Sam. Thank you for all your hard work, whatever. But it's time. You know what? It's time to start blooding these kids. You know what I mean? And if
that's
you know
what I was going to say, I'd bring in the two Camporeales, right? Put them on the wing. I'd bring in Lemmy, right?
Yep.
I'd drop Blake Acres.
Ashton Moyer. Would you bring in Ashton Moyer?
Yeah, bring in Ashton Moyer. Right.
Yep.
Who else? Oh, I dropped Lewis Young, right? You got Lemmy there, and I might even bring in Pitnet.
Yeah, well, Pitnet played a good game as well. He played a very good game in the VFL.
But he needs to throw his weight around. He needs to monster them, all right? So
you're going to play 2 ruckmen with Pitnet and De Koning, Joe?
Yeah, they can run off the bench. One of them can rest up forward. Well, I mean, Brownie's always said we need 3 big forwards up there. So there's no Harry.
I think we're too tall then. Yeah, and we saw it against what's it called? North a bit. When you're too tall, we just looked even slower. You know, and then again and we have to think about it too. Even Collingwood, they don't have a big forward line. They don't have those big. And to be honest, the whole team, it's not really like that. They don't have a multitude of big players.
Mind you, I saw Adelaide today, and they've got 3 pretty big blokes up there with Thilthorpe, who's an absolute beast. You know, Taylor Walker. What's his name? Darcy Fogarty. And then they've got Ben Keys running around and a couple of others that are goal sneaks. So, and of course, Rankin. So they seem to have a really good mix of tall forwards that are really stretching defences week after week. They absolutely monstered Richmond today. And it can work so long as the actual players put in. Like those players all really put in today.
Kick the ball to them. But I'd play the 2 Camporeales, one on one wing, one on the other. Okay. I mean, I'd like to drop a lot of them, to be honest. But you know, you can't like drop 8 players. So I've been saying for the last 6 to 8 weeks, I think Lockie Fogarty, that's the one that's our one.
Number 8,
yeah, number 8.
I reckon he's useless. Oh, and same with Fantasia. I don't know what the hell.
Hey, to be fair, Fantasia actually wasn't half bad against Port. To be honest,
I thought it was. He probably had something to prove because they sacked him, right? But he's very inconsistent. The problem with our players is that they're very, very, very inconsistent. You know, Motlop will have a blinder of a game, and then he'll go missing for 3 weeks. You know, Fogarty will have a blinder of a game where he kicks 3 goals in the first 15 minutes. Then you don't see him for the next 95 minutes. So I just think you got to give people like these Billy Wilsons and that who have been there 2 or 3 years, play them. You say to them, as Vin said, you got 4 to 6 weeks. Show us what you got. And if you haven't got it, there's the door. Go.
Hey, Vin, it's a really good point what Joe makes. Can I ask you this? Where is Michael Voss? Like, how would you like to be Michael Voss? You're coaching for your future. You know that the next 8 weeks could determine whether you keep your job or not. Do you keep playing the experienced ones who keep letting you down, or do you give these young kids a go knowing full well that they're probably not going to get you over the line in the next 8 weeks, but you're at least blooding them and at least seeing, you know, what the future can be all about? Would you be asking the board to say, look, I'll play the kids. I'll start planning for the future because, yes, a lot of our senior blokes are letting us down. I'm happy to drop them and play these kids, but you've got to assure me about my own future too, because these kids are going to be making a lot of fundamental mistakes in their first few weeks. They haven't played before. So what would you do if you were Michael Voss?
Yeah, I think I'd be having those discussions with, you know, the footy manager to see where, you know, what direction they should be taking. For sure.
And the footy manager is Brad Lloyd.
Yeah, well, just to sort of, so they all get on the same page. Just say, okay, this is what we're going to do. What do you think about, you know, we drop these 3 or 4 players, we bring these in, and we persist with it? Or do you want to try and win some games and be respectable and just keep playing the same blokes, which could backfire? We could get pumped.
Well, we're now starting to lose quite heavily. Like that loss on Thursday was one of our heaviest losses for the year. So if that keeps going against Collingwood and Brisbane, who are arguably the two best sides in the competition going around at the moment, I mean, can you imagine if we have 10-goal plus losses over the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, as I say, they've got to all be on board with whoever's on top of them. Yeah, I'd be asking that. That's a pretty good question. But what I think what you can't do is you wouldn't be able to drop 4 or 5 players and bring 4 or 5 young guys in.
No, it's a baptism of fire.
Yeah,
it's a baptism of fire.
So one or two at a time.
Yeah, it'd have to be 1 or 2 at a time. Yeah.
So maybe a Ben Campriali and a Harry Lemmy this week, or an Ashton Moyer this week, and then maybe Harry Lemmy the following week or something like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, for sure. And give those young blokes 2 or 3 weeks. You can't. I remember. This different in my time, but I remember if you've got a game, you're always nervous because if you didn't play well, you're going to get dropped. Because we had so many good players. But I remember in my early stages, I got a best on ground against St Kilda, and John Nichols was the coach, and he said to me after the game, that best on ground is going to guarantee you 3 more games.
Fantastic, yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're not worried the next week about if you don't have a good game that you're going to get dropped because you can
play with a lot more freedom. Did you play with a lot more freedom? Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the next week, I think I got 1 vote, so, and I think I might have played 14 games or something that year because it gives you a bit of confidence when even if you make mistakes, you're not going to get dropped,
No, exactly right.
Yeah. I've got one more actually. Sorry to. I've been asked to ask this question. What are your thoughts on? I don't know if you guys saw it actually. Doherty padding. I think it was Travis Boak on his back.
Yeah. Spare me. Spare me.
Do you know?
After Travis Boak kicked the goal, I think Doherty was going over and just patting him on the back. Right on, mate. You know what I mean? Like, just vomit.
Do you know the Port Adelaide players started feeling so sorry for us that after Willie Rioli kicked the goal, he even picked up Jordan Boyd off the ground?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that. Oh, my God. When do you
It was almost like, you poor boys, let me help you up, mate.
When do you ever see that? Oh, what about when Butters, when they were punching on, Butters is saying, you're a fucking shit.
Yeah. Did you see that? You could read his lips. You guys are fucking shit.
We are.
Yeah, no one responded.
I'll tell you something.
Sorry, but we're an embarrassment.
I'll tell you something. I'd be knocking the door down to try and get Butters to Carlton.
I reckon.
Mars has been saying that for a long time.
Why would he come? Why would he come? Seriously.
Well, he could. I tell you how he could come. I tell you how.
If you got Ken Hinkley and gave him the senior coaching job, that's the only way he would come.
No, you could have Voss as your coach and have Hinkley as an assistant coach, and I think Hinkley and Butters are very good friends.
You mean like Hinkley is a sort of a director of coaching role, maybe a mentor?
Well, assistant coach, yeah. So he's on the
assistant
panel.
Coach.
Yeah, and I reckon that's the way you could get Butters. And if you got Butters, he'd be an injection to our side.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, I think Hawthorn's into him pretty heavily, I think you'll find, Vinny.
Yeah, but as I said, I think he's very, very close with Hinkley, and you never know. Who knows? You might get both of them there.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's move on to the votes, Vince. So
yes, let's do that, Joe.
We managed to get David Rhys-Jones's vote, so he gave 3 votes to George Hewitt. Mind you, this is bloody hard to do the votes. 2 to Doherty. And 1 vote to Nick Haynes. Vince?
Well, I sort of stuck my neck out, and I resonate with what Seba said earlier about Ollie Hollands. Now, I think he got 18 possessions, and I think he kicked the goal, quite a nice set shot for goal too. And unlike all the other players that high-five each other and celebrate like they've just won a bloody premiership or something, he just went straight back to the middle, didn't make much song and dance about it. So I thought Ollie Hollands tried hard, and that's what I was looking for in my votes, because to be honest with you, there's no one really deserved anything. But if I had to give votes, I'd give Hollands my 3 purely on endeavour and willingness to keep putting his body on the line and run. He runs quite a number of kilometres every game, I think you'll find. So I gave him my 3. Nick Haynes I gave 2. I thought he battled hard on his half-back flank for the night. He could probably hold his head up. George Hewitt I gave 1 purely because he got 21 possessions and laid 9 tackles, which was our team's highest tackler. So I thought, okay, that probably deserves the 1 vote because no one else has done anything better.
Okay, and I gave 3 votes to Hewitt. I must apologise. It is WETT, but Mr. What's his name? Anyway, it must be corrected by the spell check. So I'll
Mr. Google.
Yeah. Nick Haynes 2 and Sam Doherty 1. Our leaderboard, we've got a new leader. George Hewitt has gone to the top. Patrick Cripps, Jacob Wiedering, Shearer, and DeConning. Guys, next week. Oh, sorry. Oh, Vinny, we also have a Spirit of Carlton award, and David Rhys-Jones normally gives it, and this week he's given it to no one again.
For the second week in a row. For the second week in a row, he reckons no one deserved it.
No.
Yeah.
It's meant to be given, Vinny, just to explain, it's meant to be given to a player that he feels has played, for the jumper. He may not have been the best player on the ground or even in the votes, but, played with the sort of spirit that you'd look for in a Carlton player wearing the Carlton jumper. So he just thought no one deserved it for the second week in a row.
Yeah, good call.
That's got to say something, doesn't it?
Well, you've got to respect David, the way he played. So that's the way he sees it.
Hey, I just want to ask one quick question, and it's probably to all of you. Did everyone see what Nick Haynes come out and said?
Yep, because he hasn't been indoctrinated into the shit of Carlton yet.
Yeah,
He's only been there
that's
5
exactly
minutes.
right. Why don't you tell our audience who may not have heard what he said? Tell us what he said.
Well, I'll paraphrase him, but he basically said, if you don't want to be there, piss off. That's what I took out of it.
He said, I think he said, if the senior guys aren't up to it or that aren't doing the role, we've got plenty of younger guys in the V2s, which is what he was referring to, that'll come in and do the job for us. Which is right.
He was referring to TDK about if you don't want to be there, piss off. That's
I
what
think he's referring to a whole host of them, to be honest. I think there's a whole host of them that,
By the way, Joe, I like Enzo Valentino's comment. G'day, Enzo. Obviously, you're out there watching. Spirit of Carlton Award should go to all the members and supporters. Stick fat, they say. Well, we have stuck fat for so long and so far for no reward. I mean, that's probably justified as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway,
well, we don't want the same thing to happen, 5-6 years ago when we were playing so bad that our membership dropped to about 50,000.
Yeah, I think, I know.
That was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, no one was going to the game, so they voted with their feet, saying, well, if things don't improve, why should I actually got invited to a game, the Essendon game, and the guy, I won't mention any names, but he's been a member for a long, long time, puts in a lot of money, and he's not going to renew next year because he says, I don't get my value of money. He says, I put in a lot of money, watch these guys play, and you just get, disappointed by it. I didn't like that he burnt his scarf one night, but that was going a bit too far. But he's a passionate man,
Yeah.
But that's just something I came across. Is that you get very disgruntled supporters.
I think it's getting to a
Yeah.
tipping point though too, which you know what I mean, Vinny. It's
What did you
getting
think
to
of all of that business with the graffiti on the walls of the club the following morning? I thought it was
Yeah, well,
pretty
that's-
pathetic, but it just
Yeah,
goes to show you how white hot the anger is out there amongst some of our supporters.
yeah, for sure.
It really is. There's
Well,
some
they
white hot
can
anger,
see what's
and
going
I
on.
put it down. And I put it down to the fact that this club has continued to sell false hope. And members, 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, we were told, look, we need to have a clean out of the list. We're going to have a full list rebuild. We've been waiting for 10 years. And still, we've seen other sides go past us that have since won premierships, gone and dropped down below, and then come past us again, like Hawthorn.
well,
When we heard of their three-peat, the third of their three-peat, and
we're regressing again.
Since then, they've dropped away a bit when Clarkson had his last few years, and now Mitchell's taken over. He's got them back into the finals, and they're looking like taking all before them at the moment. Where are we? Where are we 10 years later with this so-called rebuild? So I think that Carlton supporters are fed up with false promises, false hope, all of the PR and marketing crap that is shoved down their goddamn throats every year. And seriously, I don't condone graffiti on the walls of the club. I don't condone violence. I don't condone any of that stuff. But it just goes to show you how livid some of our supporters are now, and they're ready to throw in the towel, I think, some of them.
Was that a mini volcano, Vince, or was it just
a mini volcano? I'm just getting warmed up. Well, what do you think of that, Vinny? I mean, Vinny, can I just ask you for your reaction to that?
The reaction to what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I there's a lot of people who agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, it's heartbreaking at times because you know that they're playing well under their performances, because that side is at its best, with the players that we've got, can compete against anybody.
At its best, it can. It should.
Yeah.
We've got Brownlow medalists. We've got 2 Coleman medalists. We've got all Australians. We've got.
Yeah, for sure.
And we proved a couple of years ago that we can actually string quite a few wins together. And that team wasn't that much different to what we have now. So I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's missing, whether they've lost faith in the Voss game plan, or maybe it's not resonating anymore. The message isn't getting through. Maybe they're just tired of playing that really hard, laborious style of football because, frankly, our brand of football is rubbish. I know Carlton supporters everywhere who just say to me, I can't stand going to watch our games anymore. It's terrible to watch. It's not a great brand. And I'm going to touch on that with my Vince's verdict coming up shortly because that brand of football is just toxic. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, boys, this week. Sorry, Vince. Go, Vinny.
No, it's right. It's fine. It wasn't important.
I was just going to hear what Vinny's reaction to that was.
No, I was just going to say that, like it just shows in the record that, over the last 20-odd games, the wins that we've had, there's only been probably out of those wins, maybe only 1 or 2 of the top 8 sides. So
Geelong.
Geelong, yeah. So we've beaten the bottom sides. So if you have a look at that record and maybe what you guys have probably got it in front of you. Say the last 20 games.
25.
25. How many have we won?
8.
8. Okay. Well, it's not a good record, is it?
No.
For a potential.
And do you know who the 8 games are against? North Melbourne twice, West Coast twice, Essendon, St Kilda, and Geelong, and that's it.
Okay, yeah. Well, there you go.
And Richmond. That's since the 30th of June last year. So there you go. Today's the 29th. In the last 365 days, there's your 8 wins. 2 against North, 2 against West Coast, and the others are against Richmond, Essendon, St Kilda, and 1 good one against Geelong. That's it. In the last 12 months.
Yeah, I think 3 of those against the West Coast. Didn't we play them twice last year and once this year?
He's the lucky.
But the West Coast one, the first one was more than 12 months ago. I'm talking about the last 12 months since we were second on the ladder.
Yeah.
He's got to be
it's not a good record.
Sorry to cut off, but he has got to be the luckiest coach in the AFL. He came up 0-4. He came up 0-4 against at the start of the season, going into those 2 games. If there were any other 2 teams and we lost, I'm telling you, he would have been gone in the first 6 rounds of the season. And I'm surprised, to be honest, they didn't sack him after Thursday night and Friday morning. I'm surprised I woke up and didn't see a headline, to be honest.
Seba, there are some people that reckon they would have sacked the coach after that elimination final performance when we were 60-0.
I agree. Me and Mars spoke it. We watched it together, obviously, and we said it. He should have been gone after that. He should have been gone after that.
Vinny, for us old blokes like you, me, and Joe, I mean, Joe's in his 60s, you're in your 50s, and I'm in my 70s. At least we, not quite, but at least we've seen some success. That it's Michael Sebastiani, who's right here with us tonight, and his, I guess, genre of people, his generation, if you like. They're the ones I feel sorry for. They've never seen anything beyond maybe a semi-final or a preliminary final, and that's it. They've seen no real meaningful success in 30 years this year since our last flag.
Yeah.
Michael's only 20. Michael's only 24 and his brother's 30. Yeah. And they've never seen any success in their entire lives. I feel sorry for them.
The best thing I'd seen up until the prelim was the 2013 elimination final against Richmond.
Elimination final against Richmond. And what about the 2011 against Essendon? That's probably it.
I was at that game, and then I think what was the one where we went over to West Coast and we lost in a quarter.
Yeah, we lost by 3 points or 4 points against West Coast.
We should have got a free kick.
Yeah, that was the semi-final.
I remember.
Yeah, I was there that night too, and Andrew Walker should have got a free kick. But anyway, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that we used to take playing finals every year for granted. We made grand finals very regularly, and we often held up the Premiership Cup, and that was in that era between about 75 to 2000 that I can remember from. I was born in 68, so really you don't really remember too much before you're about 6-7 years of age. So I always remember that 25-year period between 1975 and 2000 as one that you could be proud to be a Carlton supporter. You used to walk down the street with swagger. You used to proudly wear the jumper and with your favourite player's number on the back of it. You'd go to school and, talk about the footy and we'd celebrate premierships. But, since 2000 when David Parkin retired at the end of that season, this last 25 years has been absolutely 180 degrees about face compared to the previous 25 years. We've had nothing but mediocrity, abject failure, and completely no accountability from anyone, from the board to the administration to players. The only one who seems to cop it in the neck on an average of once every 3 years is the senior coach.
Yeah,
we've had 7 coaches, and if Michael Voss gets the the axe in the back, which is being sharpened at the moment, it'll be 8 coaches in 24 years.
And as you said,
one in every 3.
On your interview that I heard, it's a poison chalice.
It is a poison chalice. This is the thing.
Right.
What you've got to ask yourself is this, Seba. Why 4 years ago when they sacked David Teague, did Alistair Clarkson say no, and no? Didn't matter how much money they threw at him. And believe me, I know. They threw the checkbook at him and said, fill it out with whatever you want. Sorry, I'm not coming. I'll tell you why he said that.
They would talk in those
Because
spaces.
there's a guy called Brett Ratton and there's another guy called Brendan Bolton, who both coached our team and ended up, well, Ratton went from coaching Carlton to then being an assistant coach at Hawthorn. And Brendan Bolton, who was at Hawthorn, ended up going back to Hawthorn after he was sacked by us. So both of those guys would have been in his ear saying, this is what it's like at Carlton.
Yeah.
All of the, the big power brokers get in the way. All of these influences behind the scenes get in the way. You can't do what you want to do. And that's what Mick Malthouse confirmed in the media just over the weekend, that you just are hamstrung. Mick Malthouse was told who his captain was going to be. He didn't want him to be the captain. He didn't want Mark Murphy. He wanted Andrew Carazzo because Andrew Carazzo had a lot more leadership skills about him and played with the sort of leadership skills that Malthouse was looking for, but he couldn't have him because he was told, no, this is who your captain is. This is what happens at Carlton. I've been trying to say it for years. The fish rots from the head. We have to get rid of this toxic board.
It's been hijacked.
I'm telling you, the last 25 years has been as bad as it is because of what happens from the top down. And ignorant people say to me, oh, no board member ever goes out there and kicks a football. I mean, seriously, what a stupid argument. The whole club and the culture of the club stems from the top down. And right now, there's no urgency about anything within the playing group. There's a lot of people employed within the football department that keep getting away with underperforming or total non-performance for years, and they're never held accountable.
Correct.
We've got pretty poor assistant coaches because for a lot of years, a lot of the soft cap went towards paying Andrew Russell, the what's his name, the high performance fitness coach and all that. So therefore, we couldn't afford to pay any decent assistants. Now, the board was told when they appointed Michael Voss, he needs some strategic and tactical nous around him. Do you think they've provided that for him over the last 4 years? They knew it up front. Now we wonder why we've got a problem.
This is the problem with our club. And then everyone wants to come out, after there's a lot of us real people that have been saying this for a long, long time. Now everyone wants to come out and say, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong. Yeah. Where it's been, the proof's been in the pudding for years on end now. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as supporters and as what there's only so much we can do at this point.
The problem is that the standards of the club have to be set from the top and filtered down. Back in the John Elliott era, there's no way he would have accepted any of this. He drove the high standards from the very top. Second best is not acceptable. And he drove that into the players. You're expected to make finals. Don't celebrate making finals. That's something that's expected of you.
Correct.
And if you didn't play finals, believe me, the players were shaking in their boots, worrying about whether they're going to get a contract for next year. So unless it's driven from the top down and the standards are upheld and the culture is a successful culture based on habits that are all based around winning premierships, well, what hope have you got? Players came out even at the start of the year like Harry Mackay saying, oh, we're in no rush to win a premiership. Vinny, have you ever heard one of your players back in your time say, we're in no rush to win a premiership?
Nah, that surprised me.
Gee whiz. I mean, Patrick Cripps is the captain, and he says, oh, we're going to have a few wins, we're going to have a few losses. Well, okay, maybe that's true. But as a captain, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear, we're going to be out there giving our best and busting our ass to win every game. That's what you want to hear from your captain. But these guys are soft, and I blame the club. I blame the board, and I blame the administration. They're soft as butter. You saw it on the weekend or on Thursday night where they're helping other players off the ground or patting them on the back after they've kicked a goal, opposition players. It's ridiculous. Yeah. They are marshmallows now. And all of these social justice programs that this club undertakes, I've had it up to here with them. And I know a lot of other supporters have had a gutful of all of the woke crap that this club continues to shove down our throats.
Correct.
Vince, anyway, can we go on to the next week's game and you can have your say later?
Yes, Joe. Go.
Right. Okay, so as you can see, I made that banner all by myself.
I love that.
Carlton are playing the filth.
Well, we might be playing the filth, but the filth is looking very, very dangerous and looking like unless something unexpected gets in their way, they might have Premiership number 17 in their grasp by the end of the year.
Do you know something, Vince? There's only one good thing to come out of Collingwood.
I hope I'm wrong.
Johnson Street. Get the fuck out of there. Anyway, this Friday night, Festival Hall, MCG, 7:20 p.m. The Carlton Corporate Football Club Limited is taking on the filth. Gentlemen, what are our thoughts? I'll start with Vinny Katodge.
I think we'll actually put up a fair show. I'm not saying we'll win, but I think we'll put up a very improved effort. Because I just don't think we could go down any further.
You don't think we can get any worse?
No, I really think we'll put up a fairly good effort. Okay. I don't know where that's going to take us, but I think you'll see some response.
Seba,
I'll let Vince go first.
All right. You'll never get a word.
I'd like to think Vinny's right. I'd like to think Vinny's right, but what worries me is I think our better players are fairly banged up. And I'm talking about Cripps, I'm talking about Wiedering, I'm talking about the Koenig. And, of course, Walsh and Mackay are not playing. So if your top half a dozen are all at sea from a fitness point of view, or they're not even out there, you're leaving a hell of a lot to the middle tier and bottom tier players. Personally, I think we're going to get absolutely spanked on Friday night. And my tip is Collingwood by 77 points.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much in line with Vince here. Everyone thought that it couldn't get much worse than North, and it did with Port, and it's only going to get lower. Let's be real here. Collingwood are killers. They will kill us. They're killers. Yep. Whether the people like to, Carlton fans, whether they like to admit it or not, they're probably, outside of Geelong, they're probably the most well-run football club on field.
Yeah,
around. So this is going to be a bad day at the office. I'm tipping Collingwood by 10 goals.
The only thing that might save us is if it snows or if there's an absolute torrential downpour or something, Joe.
I'm not going to say what could save us because but we need a lot of things to go wrong for us to be saved.
You guys, no confidence. I tipped Carlton by 24 points for two reasons.
Because you're behind in the footy tipping.
Yeah, that's one. And two, I can't bring myself to say that C word. Like, Fonzie couldn't say sorry.
Yes.
Would.
No, it was the word wrong. I think he used to say I was.
Oh, we've lost.
He couldn't say wrong.
We've lost Vinny Katodjo, but anyway, I was going to thank him. Yeah, he's dropped out. I don't know what's happened.
Maybe his phone went flat. I did tell him to make sure his phone was all charged up.
That's okay. But anyway, we will thank him for coming on. So you can see Big Vince and Rhys have moved further ahead. I'm going to tip Carlton every week because I'm so far behind.
Well, at least me and Rhys have gone ahead of yours because we used our heads and tipped Port, and you still tipped Carlton. Anyway,
no, because I thought they'd give something.
I love the way you absolutely bag our team week after week and then come out and tip them.
Still tip them.
That's a true supporter, isn't it?
I know, Joe. I know.
Thomas, you're saying I'm clueless. Just listen to why I'm doing it. I don't think we'll get within 100 points of them, but I'm behind
Yeah.
in the queue.
Hey, by the way, Vinny just sent me a text message. Sorry, run out of battery. He wanted to say thanks to everyone for tuning in and giving him nice comments and all that sort of thing.
He's a star.
Yeah. So I only tip Carlton because
He is a star.
No, I didn't smoke a big blunt. I'm not drinking vodka. I'm not going crazy. Although marijuana is legal
Although I
here.
wish I had smoked a blunt before watching Carlton on Thursday. I'll tell you that for free. Oh, God.
That's what I might do next week. I think I might. Well, I can't smoke anymore. I think I'll go buy myself a brownie and watch it so that it numbs the pain. I can send everyone watching the show a brownie to numb the pain, so that you sit there and you just think, legit, and you can laugh harder.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Joe, can you still see me on screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can see me, can you?
Yeah, but you're frozen. Oh, there you go. You're
good.
back.
Good, because my computer screen has come up with all sorts of other stuff on it, and I can't see myself. Oh, now I can. Here we go.
All right. So,
sorry about that.
People in the comments and chats, go for it. We'll go from
By
there.
the way, Joe, because of all of the muck up at the start,
yes,
I think you may have failed to mention our sponsors and
no, I didn't.
And all that.
You weren't in the chat. I was there by myself, and then Seba finally joined me. So I did thank our sponsors, but
all right,
just to appease Vince, I will do it again. So as I said to everyone, let me get to the first slide.
I apologise if I missed it. So I just wanted to remind you in case we did miss it. That's all.
You did miss it. So as I said, the Jumper Punch channel is proudly sponsored by the Sporting Globe at Northland. Seba, you went on, when was
Thursday?
it? Friday, Thursday night. What was it like?
Yeah, it was good. It was a small quartet of us because obviously Thursday night game a bit hard. But no, it was good. All of us there together. We had a laugh. I think most of it was just laughing. Not a lot of angry emotions, nothing like that. It was just more we all knew what was coming. So no, but it was good. It was very good. And I think when's the next one? I think maybe I think it's Freo over in Fremantle.
Yeah, probably.
I think.
So
the next one is on Sunday, the 3rd of August, which is the Fremantle versus Carlton game, which is the usual Sunday late game slot. So that particular game or that particular weekend, we won't be doing our show on the Sunday night because the game's on. Yeah. But we'll do it on the Monday night instead.
I just want to say to everyone in the chat, if you're within reasonable vicinity of Northlands, do get down. It is a blast. It is fun. Everyone being together. So,
and that's Sporting Globe. I tell you what, if you haven't been to a Jumper Punch catch up, or what do they call it?
Catch up, live shows, catch ups.
No, but I think the Sporting Globe is like a catch up.
Oh yeah, TJP catch up. Yeah, that's
catch up. Yeah, for the interstate games. It's a great atmosphere. Everyone gets together. The boys provide a bit of finger food and stuff like that. The food and the drink at Sporting Globe is second to none. So you really enjoy yourself, and you'll be mixing with all the Carlton supporters watching the game together, and get down there and support them if you can.
Yep. Okay, and Blue Sundays are also proudly sponsored by my company, Retired Working for You Tours. If you need anything in any tours in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, we specialise mainly in Thailand, but I can do all the other countries. Just give me a holler. What I would want to say is we should get a new sponsor on this channel, Beyond Blue, because I think everyone's going to start ringing them.
Maybe we should change the name of our show from Blue Sunday to just Beyond Blue for everyone who's feeling depressed and needs therapy after watching a Carlton game.
But be careful, guys. Be careful, guys. Don't go too far. You might get cancelled saying things like that nowadays. I'm joking.
Vince, myself, and Seb are only a phone call away. We're more than happy to help you guys out. But we are.
Oh God.
Can I,
Funny, man.
Joe?
Yes.
Guess what I need to do right now?
No Cheerios.
Yes, I've got a Cheerio. Just a quick Cheerio to Ed Hannon. If you're watching, Ed, he sent me a lovely message during the week asking me about my health and a few comments about some of the things I've been doing and representing the Carlton supporters out there. So big hello to Ed. If you're out there watching, Ed, good to see you. And now let's go through the games from this weekend.
Go, Vince.
Apart from the Carlton game against Port Adelaide, which was a 50-point smashing, we saw a great game, a really good game between the Sydney Swans and the Western Bulldogs. The only thing that was bad about that game was the state of the surface of the ground, which was just
horrible.
Oh, how the players can be expected to play on that is just beyond.
But then again,
beyond
look at back in the day,
comprehension.
they played in some absolute dog pits.
Yeah, just if someone had done their knee on that ground, they'd have every reason to sue the AFL for millions. Anyway, Western Bulldogs 16-9, 105 to the Sydney Swans 14-12, 96. Great effort by Sydney. They are starting to look better with some of their better players like Goulden and who was the other one? Papley coming back, and Heaney played a great game. But the Western Bulldogs are showing that they're the real deal. Marcus Bontempelli's 250th game, and they finished it off for him in style. So great win by them, and they're well entrenched in the 8 now, the Doggies.
Yeah.
Then we had the Gold Coast Suns taking Melbourne apart, especially in the first quarter. Melbourne sort of hung in there and pegged the margin back a bit, but I don't think they were ever going to get over the Suns in the end. 15-14, 104. The Suns back in the 8 to Melbourne 12-13, 85. Then we had a smashing on Saturday where Hawthorn 23-12, 150. Geez, they play well down in Tasmania, especially in that ground at Launceston.
Yeah.
Or at that ground at Launceston, I should say. Is that right? 23-12? Yeah, 23-12, 150. Great kicking for goal, isn't it? To 9-11-65, an 85-point hiding. Then last night, the Eagles were quite plucky against Collingwood, especially in the first half, but then Collingwood came out and showed them who's boss, and I think they restricted the Eagles to only 2 goals in the second half. Ended up a comfortable 29-point victory, 13-10, 88, did what they had to do. To the Eagles, 8-11-59. Today, Richmond completely outplayed by Adelaide. Adelaide 18-14, 122. 68-point winners over Richmond, 8-6, 54, and they're obviously rebuilding with a young list.
And because the last
we haven't got the Fremantle St Kilda game?
No, because the game finished during the show and I didn't
have time to That's all right. So I can give you the scores if you want.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
The scores of that game were, in the end, a 2-goal win to Fremantle, 11-15-81, defeating St Kilda 9-15-69. I'll tell you what, a lot of that game looked like St Kilda might just pinch it, but in the end, Fremantle were good enough to get over the line and retain their spot in the 8, as you can see there. So, Joe?
Vince, I'll go through the 8 because that was before the game. So,
go for it.
Collingwood is still on top. Brisbane, Adelaide, Geelong and Hawthorn, they're all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in 6th place, Fremantle moved up with that win on being on 40 points.
Yeah.
So everyone's come down a peg. So Western Bulldogs are 7 and the Gold Coast are 8th.
Both on 36.
And then
also on 36, just out of the 8 on percentage.
Yeah. And then we've got GWS, Port Adelaide, Carlton, Sydney, Essendon, Melbourne, St Kilda, North, Richmond and West Coast. So there's no change there. And as bad a season that we've had, we're still 11th. And we're 3 games out of the 8. So finals is looking very, very,
and percentage. Yeah, well, with a banged up list and lots of injuries now.
Not a decent percentage.
Finals should not be spoken of for the rest of the year.
Can I ask you something, Seba? If Nick Newman was able to come back before the end of the home and away season, would you play him, or would you say not worth it, mate? Just recover properly, and we'll see you next year.
Worth it. I don't want to see another thing like they did last year with Doherty.
Yeah, I bet you they bring him. I'll make a bet with you. I bet you. I'll bet you Tats Lotto ticket. I bet you they bring him back.
Oh, I'm on your side. I'll give you a Tats Lotto ticket.
They'll probably roll him out in the bloody wheelchair.
Yeah,
anyway, it's the time that everyone's been waiting for.
Yep.
It's time for Big Vincenzo's verdict. And a bit like Caro Zarro, who's in your firing line, Vince?
Well, look, there's 3 different things I wanted to talk about today. And so I'm going to touch on them briefly, all 3 of them. And then I guess after each one, if either of you guys want to have your say on the matter and give your opinion, you might disagree with me. By all means, give us your view. But my view, first of all, tonight is about the stronger together message. It is so easy for supporters to get sucked into all this, and I've been watching it for a good couple of years now. The reason that the club preaches all of this stuff and plasters it all over the ground and plasters it on everything that they send you is to brainwash you. It's a PR exercise to get the supporters into a frame of mind that and the reason they did this is they knew it would eventually happen. When things get tough and people start calling for the heads of the coach and the president and the administrators and the general managers and all that sort of thing, it's all about keeping you in a mindset that says, oh, no, we've got to stay together. We've got to be unified. We've got to also criticise anyone else who wants to upset the apple cart, who wants to ask questions, who wants to keep people accountable. People who want the administration of this club and the board of this club to be held accountable. And so even if there was a challenge to the board of directors, their message, I guarantee you that if there's a ticket formed between now and the end of the season, or the end of this year, say, to challenge this board, I guarantee you that they will come out with one very big message, and that's, we've been saying it to you for years, that we are stronger together. Let's not break this up. Let's own this together. Even the messages that were coming out of Michael Voss after that loss on Thursday night was, we're not going to point the finger at anyone. We're not going to lay blame. We're all in this together. Do you know that the reason they do that is so that you can't point the finger at anyone?
Yeah.
You should be able to point the finger at individuals. You should be able to point the finger at the president. You should be able to point the finger at the general manager of football, Brad Lloyd. You should be able to even point the finger at the CEO, Brian Cook, who's been there for 4 years and has really changed nothing. He's just marked time, really. He's not an agent of change. He's not someone who's in the past shown himself to be prepared to shake things up. In fact, if anything, he just sticks with the same people until they hopefully perform, as he did with Bomber Thompson at Geelong. But we all know that he came across not wanting to really do it because he was ready for retirement, but he was coaxed out of it by Luke Sayers with a checkbook. So what's in it for him to shake things up? Now we've got someone who's going to take over from him, who's apparently an agent of change. We'll see what change he wants to make, and we'll see if he's allowed to make every change he wants to make. Because there's a lot of very influential parties behind the scenes that always stick their neck in and always want to have the final say. So this stronger together message, yes, I don't disagree with the whole notion of being together and being unified. But just because we're unified as a fan base doesn't mean that we shouldn't be able to ask hard questions of our football club when things are not going well. It doesn't mean that we haven't got the right to point the finger at certain individuals who are underperforming, whether they're in the football department, whether they're players, whether they're coaches, or whether they're people on the board of directors. it doesn't mean that you don't have the right to do that. So beware of the club using this so-called unifying message to stop you from expressing your views. If you feel passionately that things are wrong, you should feel that you have every right to express yourself. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. What do you guys think of that stronger together message?
I think you're spot on. And to like just reiterate, me and Mars were at, I think maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, and we hadn't seen it on the screens at the MCG under where they play the game as it's going, but it's appeared only in the past month and a half. It's reappeared, and we all know why it's reappeared, because people are now coming out and starting to point the finger.
Yeah.
And starting to say, you know what, let's wake the fuck up. But hey, that's what they do. They try to brainwash us, and people are waking up to it now. People are waking up to it. But yeah.
Joe, any views on that?
It's a lot of crap. Stick together. So it's just
stronger together.
I don't even know. It's just bullshit. I mean, they obviously got a marketing department. They got to come up with something. They need someone wrote.
It's all what it is. It's subliminal. It's like a subliminal message to you to say, "Hey, don't upset the apple cart. Let's all just stay together. Let's all fall off the cliff together." Right? That's what it is.
But
you know what it reminds me of?
Putting it back on us.
Yeah, like it's our fault.
Well, this is the other thing I was going to get onto. This is my second point that I wanted to make tonight.
Hang on, Vince. I just want to cut me off.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
That's all right.
I thought you just said it was all bullshit and that was it. Sorry.
If anything, Carlton supporters are more loyal than anyone. When Collingwood are playing bad, their fans don't go. When Essendon are playing bad, their fans don't go. Our fans turn up every bloody week, right? Every week you will see 50,000 fans there. When Collingwood were bad a few years ago in Essendon, they were lucky to get 30. So you don't need us. You don't need to tell us stronger together. We know that, right? Stop trying to sell us this hope and this dream. It's just bullshit. Anyway,
well, as I said, the main reason for it is that if that board ever gets challenged by another ticket, this is what they're going to resort to, ramming home that same message about stronger together. Take my word for it. Let's see if someone forms a ticket, and let's see what sort of response the club gives you. Okay, so the second thing I wanted to mention was the if you like, what I think was extremely scripted response from Patrick Cripps and Jacob Wiedering before the Port Adelaide game, when they were met by the media outside Princes Park or Icon Park, Icon Park, and that whole message that Patrick Cripps gave us about we've got to stick fat. And, now's not the time to be pointing fingers and all. It's the same thing. It all ties in with that stronger together message. He even, I think, mentioned it, that we're living by the stronger together mantra. In other words, we're not going to point the finger at anyone. We're going to all take blame together so that no one can be held accountable. Literally no one. And to then come out and say, we're playing for Vossi, we love Vossi, we're gonna give you a response this week, and we've got to pull together. And well, then how did they play? Yet again, I guarantee you that Patrick Cripps and Jacob Wiedering both did not volunteer to go out and do that. They were told to do it, and they were probably given a script to try and remember as best they could before they went out and met the cameras, so that they weren't reading. So they weren't reading, so that they could retain some of it up here and blurt out the same bullshit. I'm telling you now, it's all scripted shit. What's that?
Vince? Why don't they go and get Charlie Curnow? Why don't they go and get one of these other in the leadership?
Why would they do that? Charlie Curnow's only in the leadership group. I mean,
When does he ever talk though? That's
exactly.
When
I'm
does he
being
ever
I'm being
talk?
sarcastic.
No, I know. I
He's
know
in the
you are. I know
leadership
you are.
group. He
But
should
when
be
does
out
he ever
there
fucking talk?
because he's
When
not
does he ever
performing and
talk?
he's playing like a schmuck. That's why.
You know what? It's become a big fucking joke at Carlton. That's what it is. I feel like I always say. I feel like us supporters, we are used as a social experiment to see how far you can push somebody.
Yep.
We're a social experiment. I'm convinced.
Joe, what did you think of the Patrick Cripps and sorry, Seba, you going to keep going?
Go. No, go. That's fine.
I was just going to ask Joe quickly because we're already up to about 2 hours. What did you think of that, Joe? The Patrick Cripps, Jacob Wiedering stuff.
I just thought it was crap. We didn't need it. But again, another scripted bullshit that they're trying to tell us because I think that's what we want to hear.
But did you find it patronising and almost condescending in its message? I did. I thought, how dare you come out and tell the supporters to stick fat? We've been sticking fat for bloody years, decades, in a lot of cases. How can you say that to the supporters? What I would have expected him to say is, you know what? I just want to tell all the supporters, I know you're out there, you're behind us, you've been patient, you've got every right to be upset with the way we played on the weekend, etc. Like, acknowledge that you haven't played well and that you need to play better. Don't start telling us to stick fat. We've been sticking fat for a long time. So whoever told Patrick Cripps and Jacob Wiedering to come out with that sort of message is an idiot because all he's done is infuriate the fan base. Anyway.
Yeah. And what's your third point, Vince?
And the third point I wanted to make, and if there was if I was on the jumper punch on a Tuesday night, this is something I would be reserving for the banana of the week. And I've been wanting to say this one for a few weeks, but I was sick a few weeks ago for 2 or 3 weeks and I missed, I think, a couple of shows. But it's been proven already after Thursday night's game, and it'll be proven again this coming Friday night's game. The absolute morons at the AFL that scheduled the last 9 weeks of the season and gave Carlton, I mean, what is it about the way we're playing in our brand of football that you think would be conducive to a big Thursday night audience or a big Friday night audience? I mean, whoever scheduled us to be playing all these Thursday and Friday night primetime games, you have got to have your head read. Surely the people at the AFL and Channel 7 must be scratching their heads thinking, who on earth made that decision? Because
Vince,
we are just horrible to watch at the moment.
Horrible. Vince, if you're on a bigger laugh, have a look how many Friday night games Essendon have who were just as bad as us.
Well, them too. And by the way, they got another 3 injuries this week, and they had the bye.
They lost. They were the first team in history to lose on the bye.
Excuse me, everyone. I've got a bit of a cough. Go on. Anyway, that's Vince's verdict for this week. And for those of you who heard me interviewed by Jackie Felgate on 3AW on Friday, if you wanted to hear it back on it because you missed it, go onto the 3AW app and look back on Jackie Felgate's shows. They do a full replay of all of her shows every night or every weeknight. You can listen back on it on Friday. So let me tell you, I didn't miss. When they rang me and asked me to come on, I thought, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. I'm going to absolutely give it to them at the club with both barrels, especially the board where it all starts from. And I also made mention of how woke our football club has become. Yeah. And I think she didn't take too kindly to be pointing out the hypocrisy, the utter sheer hypocrisy of the Carlton Respects program. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone. I'm all for promoting awareness about, violence against women. I don't condone it. Of course not. No one with half a brain would. But how can this club and how can the people on that board of directors sleep at night when they're, on one hand, preaching all this sort of thing, which is all virtue signaling? Let's be honest, Seba. Do you think they really give a flying you-know-what?
No. Fuck
No.
no. But this, the
It's
thing, I
all
don't need a
virtue
football
signaling
player
rubbish,
to tell
right?
me. I don't need a
Just
football
like
player to tell me.
corporations, just like all of these corporations that preach all of these social justice programs, they're such good corporate citizens. Well, the Carlton Football Club has become exactly like that, a corporation. They might as well call it the Carlton Business Club or the Carlton Corporate Club because they're not interested in being a successful football club.
We're just a
But what are they
propaganda
doing? They're shoving left-wing woke things down our throats every day and every week. And what I pointed out about Carlton Respects is that despite preaching all of these very sound messages about violence against women, on the other hand, what are they doing? They're accepting approximately $20 million a year in revenue from pokie machine licenses. And one of the biggest percentages of people who commit violence against women is problem gamblers.
Correct.
How's that for hypocrisy, everyone? That's your board of directors, and they've been challenged at every annual general meeting that I can think of that I've ever been to. Everyone always asks the question, when are you going to stop these pokey licenses? When are you going to stop accepting money from gambling? You've got this Carlton Respects program. How hypocritical is it? But you know what they say? Oh, sorry, yes, we'd like to stop accepting this money, but we're not in a position to.
They never will.
You know why we're not in a position to, Seba? Because we accept $20 million a year in revenue, and after paying for all of the expenses on that, we make around $3 to $4 million in profit every year from pokie machines. So those hypocrites on the board, bravo! I can't wait to see you with your orange socks against Melbourne in July. Why don't you all go out there and wear orange socks on the ground and show everyone how hypocritical you are?
That's it. Spot on.
Anyway,
bang.
that's enough.
And
You hit him right down the middle.
4. It's
And
now
guess
time
what,
for-
Joe?
So let me introduce the segment. Stop gloating. Big Vincenzo's better. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Vince finally won.
That's my first four-leg multi. I must be on a roll.
So what has he done this week? 6-leg multi. That's arrogance. You've let it go. You've let success
I like it.
go to your head.
Yeah, but what I've done is I've only taken the games that I reckon, are pretty good bets into. Like I know that the odds are all short, but when you multiply them up together, it gets you $3. Now last week it was, I think it was what was the odds last week?
280 something.
Right.
That Port was a pumper.
So the Port Adelaide game at $1.70 something, I thought was money for jam. Port Adelaide Carlton, my goodness. But anyway, and by the way, Seba, well done on backing Fremantle on the run today when St Kilda was in front.
Yeah, me and Vinny Cottagio before the show started.
So anyway, here's the 6 games. Bulldogs to win. And, of course, they play North Melbourne on Thursday night in what will be North Melbourne's centenary game, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yep.
So good luck to them. So we're going with the Bulldogs to beat them. I just think they're going to be too good for them. Collingwood to beat Carlton at $1.29. GWS, I did these odds probably 2 days ago, so they might have changed, but we're assuming that when I prepared all this for Joe, that these are the odds.
I can
GWS to beat West Coast over in Perth at $1.24. Hopefully they don't go to sleep while they're over there. Geelong is only $1.03 to beat Richmond over at GMHBA. Brisbane at home, $1.22 to beat Port Adelaide at the Gabba. And Adelaide Crows, after a big win today, to beat Melbourne at $1.26. So if we multiply all those up together, we get $3, as it turns out. So we'll put $20 on that and hope to win $60, Joe.
You're not too far off the mark. Some have gone up and some have gone down. So
yeah, they're the odds we're going to go with.
And at the moment, we've got a closing balance. I haven't included the $20. So if we lose this week, we'll have a balance of 107.
Yeah.
And if we win,
It'll be 167.
We'll be rolling.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just let me fix up.
And by the way, gamble responsibly, and as Joe says,
Always.
go hard or go home.
Exactly. When I used to go to the races with my mates, it's get big or get out. No place for soft cocks. All right. You'd agree, won't you, Sebo?
Yeah.
You know how you win big, Vince? You bet big.
Bet big.
And if you don't bet big, you don't win
This
big.
segment is brought to you by Sportsbet.
And I know I got another one. And Tab.
On TAB. All right.
Oh, well, anyway. All right. Apparently, I'm betting my boat on it. I wish I had a boat. Okay, that brings us to the end of the show. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook at Blue Sunday or on YouTube at The Jumper Punch. And don't forget our sponsor, the Sporting Globe. Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat. Once again, for those of you who tuned into the original show, which I had some technical communications, I'm sorry about that. I lost everything in the background as well. So now I've got to go and do another couple of hours work. Finally, want to thank Vinny Katoggio for giving up his Sunday night and his battery.
Thanks, Vinny.
Want to thank Seba for joining us. He'll join us again next week if he's
we're going to have Seba as a regular on our show from now on to represent that younger generation of supporter, because let's be honest, you and I don't represent them, Joe, but it's great to have Seba's input and Seba's perspective on things as someone who's in his 20s.
It's an honor. Starving of success. So on behalf of myself, and I speak for Big Vincenz and Seba, I hope you have a great week this week. Don't forget, Tuesday night, Jumper Punch. Wednesday night is Forever Rivals. So
that's at 7:30.
It'll be interesting to hear Mark's view about Essendon having 3 injuries in a bye.
At training, all happened at training, apparently. By the way, there's a question here about my interview with Jackie Felgate. Jackie does the afternoon program between 3 and 6. So if you look up Friday's show on Jackie Felgate on the 3AW app, you'll find that interview. It goes for about 8 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we knew it wouldn't be early in the morning, Vince, because you'd still be sleeping.
Thanks, Joe.
Well, look, Seba, Bangkok is 3 hours behind Thailand. Yeah. I can send Vince a message at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock my time, and he answers me straight away. So he must still be up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and he must have to get.
You know what, Joe? I watch a lot of golf. Now, listen, I watch a lot of golf, and a lot of the golf's on at midnight till 6 in the morning, and I love watching it.
I'll be up late tonight. The F1's on, so I'll be up.
Yeah. Go on, Joe. Sorry.
You need 8 hours sleep to make yourself look as beautiful as you are.
I love you too, Joe. I love you too.
After myself, Big Vincenz and Seba. Have a great week.
Good night. David Rhys-Jones will be back next week.
Yeah, and I hope your football team wins.
Go.